thank you, Mr. Oja. I thought there's a webinar or a conference on political parties was long overdue. This is one subject we hardly ever talk about, although they're most crucial to democracy. And Mr. Oja and the opening speaker spelled out the importance of the subject, no doubt, that political parties are extremely critical for democracy. Without them, we can't have elections, we cannot have democracy. And it was mentioned that the Constitution, the longest constitution in the world, it did not say a word about it when it was promulgated. Then whether about the formation of parties, organization or functioning. But at the same time, this was not unprecedented because most democracies in the world did not have anything on political parties, except Germany, where the constitution tried to protect the rights of the political party. Later on, Spain, Portugal, and Canada, those constitutions talked about regulation of the political parties. Now, Election Commission has been playing a on and off kind of a role from the beginning. In the first general election of 1951-52, it recognized 14 parties as multi-state parties and 59 as the state parties. And later on, one of the most significant orders of the Election Commission of India was election symbols reservation and allotment order in 1968, where it used its power under the Conduct of Election Rules 1961. And the rule it laid down actually amounted to legislation, and it was challenged as illegal and ultra-vires, but the Supreme Court held this order very valid, and that indirectly gave power of almost legislation, if not subordinate legislation, let us say, to the Election Commission of India. Well, in 1978, Supreme Court in a very famous case, Mahinder Singh Gill versus Election of India, mentioned comprehensive responsibilities for free and fair election of the Election Commission of India. In other words, the residuary powers, whatever was not mentioned anywhere, those powers were given to the Election Commission through this judgment. Later on in 1996, in another case in the Supreme Court, Bhim Singh versus the Election Commission of India, the order said, the judgment said that EC has to ensure proper, conducive atmosphere for free and fair election. I'll quote the exact word, it can exercise any power, even if the conduct of election rules and the act and the rules thereunder do not confer any such power specifically. Excuse me. So, this omnibus power given by the Supreme Court, Election Commission has used quite effectively. Then another thing which cropped up was in 1985 an anti-defection amendment to the Constitution, where political parties were formally recognized as part of parliamentary process. Later on in 1989, Representation of People Act was amended with the addition of Section 29A, giving authority to the Election Commission to register political parties. And it was mentioned that the bylaws and the party constitution will have to specifically express allegiance to the constitution. And interestingly, it said that uphold the principles of socialism, secularism, and democracy, and unity of integrity of India. That the constitution of a political party has to have these words, that we will uphold the principles of socialism, secularism, and democracy, and of course, unity and integrity of India. How many of our political parties are in violation of this is for all of us to see. Then Election Commission also introduced the concept of recognition of political party. This is a highly misunderstood term. People confuse between registration and recognition. Any group of people can register a political party, and there are 2,600 last count. That was yesterday. Today it may have gone up by a couple of dozen. But the recognition is based on political electoral performance of political party. There are only 6 nationally recognized political parties, and about 45, 46, and the number keeps on going down. It's the basic thing is that they should get 6% of the votes, and how many MLAs, how many MPs, and how many states. It's a detailed metric, so on which recognition or de-recognition has been done by the Election Commission. Then many times the issue has been raised that some parties are non-functional, some parties are only interested in fund collection. Why should they not be deregistered? Why is the Election Commission toothless? Why is it not taking any action? They don't realize that we do not have, the Election Commission does not have the power to deregister. The case had gone up to Supreme Court, and in 2002, the case was Indian National Congress versus Institute of Social Welfare, in which the Supreme Court said that the power to deregister has to be specifically given and not presumed. Just because you have the power to register, you have power to deregister. That is not correct. It has to be given specifically. Until today, the political parties have not considered it necessary to give this power, because they are happy if the Election Commission is toothless to that extent. There is no internal democracy. In fact, Mr. Jagdeep Chokar of ADR said that the elections in various parties are sham elections, and dynastic rule in every political, almost every political party seems to be the norm. Then in 1994, Justice V.R. Krishna Iyer Committee called for a law to ensure inter-party democracy, inner-party democracy, and financial transparency. And subsequently, 170th report of the Law Commission also suggested that there should be reform of electoral law, where political parties, and it said that political parties can be dictatorships internally and democratic in its functioning outside, which of course is true, because that's what we see all the time. Then in 2002, National Committee to Review the Working of the Constitution, it recognized the need for regulation of party funds, and it said that they should be independent of these funds. And it noted that there is increase in casteism and communalism in elections, and it called for a strengthening of anti-defection law, and importantly, it said that there is need for restoration of moral authority in public life. Now, later on in 2006, ADR went to Chief Information Commissioner asking for the income tax returns of these political parties to be made public, as the political parties were public authorities. This debate continued in 2013. The CEC determined that 6 national parties are to be regarded as public authority, and they have to declare. But all parties got united, and nothing has come of it, and with the result, we have no transparency. Now, 2 major issues, which is my last point, are most relevant, and they are debated, but though not directly in the context of political party. One is political finance, and because everybody talks of money, role of money in election, corruption in election, corruption in collection of money, corruption in spending of money. And there is a demand for political finance transparency. And this has been going on for almost 30 years. 1990, then Dinesh Goswami Committee recommended limited funding, limited public funding of political parties. 1998, in the Jit Gupta Committee said the same, but he made it conditional on inner party democracy. Since that has not happened, there has been no limited or full state funding of political parties. Later on, 3 years ago, electoral bonds were introduced. Now, interestingly, they were introduced through the budget. And interestingly, when the finance minister was reading his budget speech, he made two very good statements, which were music to my ears. He said that without transparency of political funding, free and fair elections are not possible. And then he said that for 70 years, we have failed to achieve that. So one expected that what he's going to do through the budget is to introduce transparency. Instead, he introduced electoral bonds. Now, why it is far from being a reform, it is a deform, that whatever transparency existed has been taken away. At that time, any donation of more than 20,000 was brought to the notice of the Election Commission. It was reported to the Election Commission. Any donor of 20,000 or more. Now 20 crores or 200 crores, who donated to whom, nobody knows. Now this secrecy, and it was said that because that the donor wants secrecy. Now donor may want secrecy, but public wants transparency. And public's desire should be. And now, why does donor want secrecy? Because they want to hide quid pro quo. There is no free lunch. If I give you 20 crores, I want something in return. Maybe a license, maybe a bank loan with which I'll run away. So, which is what they want to hide, and which is what public wants to prevent. So it has gone to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court has found no time for this important issue, which is a pity in itself. So, no, my own formulation is that state funding of elections is not desirable, because we give 70 lakhs for a Lok Sabha candidate, and every candidate gets it. So some non-serious candidates will crop up. They'll spend 5 lakhs and his pocket 75 lakhs, and there is no accounting. I have instead suggested there should be funding of political parties, not of candidates, but political parties, based on their actual performance in the election. And my broad formulation is that for every vote that a candidate or a political party gets, we give them 100 rupees. In the last general election, 60 crore votes. At 100 rupees, it makes it 6,000 crores. So let us give 6,000 crores to political parties by check. They don't have to resort to illegitimate means, extortion, corruption, bribe. They can get all this money with upfront by check with dignity. The question is whether 6,000 crores will be enough. Sure enough, it will be enough, because the collection of all the political parties during the last 5 years is less than that. So with all the fair and foul means, if they are not able to raise more than 5,000 or 5,500 crores, and here they get 6,000 crores with dignity by check, I think this is a measure they should adopt, they should accept. I've been talking about it for 7 years, but there is no taker. No political party has considered it. I don't know why, because why does confusion help them? Now, second issue, the one is financial transparency. The other is criminalization of politics. We have seen the people with criminal cases in Parliament and Vidhan Sabha, it is increasing by the year. In 2004 Parliament, there were 124 MPs against whom there were criminal cases, and many of them multiple cases and serious cases, heinous offences. It went up from 124 to 167 in 2009 to 182 in 2015, which was that 14 election, and in the latest election 233. The way this number is going up and up and up, it's a shame. About 30-35% of all legislators in Parliament or Vidhan Sabha have criminal cases, and many of them criminal cases, heinous cases. We have been demanding that the cases again, if there are some serious cases against some people, they should be debarred from contesting election. The answer given to us is that a maxim of law that we are presumed innocent till proved guilty. So unless they are convicted, they are innocent. I have a counter question which I have asked in many fora where judges were present, jurists were present, and I have not got my answer. I'll repeat that question to you, ladies and gentlemen. My question is that in Indian jails today, we have 4 lakh prisoners today, of which 70% are under trial. That means not yet convicted, therefore innocent, presumed innocent. Yet, of these innocent people, we have taken away 4 fundamental rights. The right to liberty, freedom of movement, freedom of occupation, right to dignity. Now, we have taken away the 4 fundamental rights, besides the right to vote, which is not a fundamental right, but 4 fundamental rights and a right to vote has been taken away. Now, right to contest election is not a fundamental right if it is suspended during pendency of this within the ambit of law. Now, we have taken away these fundamental rights of these under trial within the ambit of our law, which talks of presumption of innocence. So now, why can't we have within this ambit of the same law this provision that these guys cannot contest till they are absolved or convicted, either way. Now, this is what is pending. The matter went up to Supreme Court in 2018, a 5-judge bench, and they said that, look, it is not for Supreme Court, actually there should be a law. Parliament is obliged to pass a law under the Constitution, Article 102, which they haven't done in 70 years, and therefore it is very unlikely that they will do it in the coming days. So, now, well, legislation is not done because of a lack of consensus in political parties. But my question is, what stops political parties from giving tickets only to those against whom there are no clean candidates, against who are not tainted? What is stopping them? In fact, one leader of a state party some years ago said, this was BSP in UP, the leader said that she will give no ticket to those who against whom there are criminal cases. We were very happy. That was a good statement, but it didn't happen. I think Mr. Modi also had said that such people should not be given ticket, but it has not happened. Now, some reforms which have to come through Parliament or the judiciary, but what about reform within, voluntary reform? So, I think reform of political parties is a good subject which you have taken up. This needs to be escalated. This needs to be voiced over and over and again till we see some kind of reform happening. Thank you very much.